Welcome back to Bunters Yard. So today we are weathering this Dapol British Gas Hopper. It's got some nice detail on there. This one has had a load fitted at some point, so it's not pristine inside, so we're going to have to weather it and then we'll sell it as a weathered model. But nice detail, and we're going to add some grime into that just to pick the detail out, just to make that a bit more visible and make more of a feature of it. This first bit of the technique, we are I've done a longer video in a new series which we were calling something along the lines of Tuesday tutorial. The first one's coming out today, which is Monday, so it makes a mockery of the whole thing, but anyway, the link's above and also down in the description. So first thing we're going to do is to just spray the side of this lightly in this mixture of black and brown. I didn't want it completely black, I just want quite a dark, dirty grime. And basically what we're going to do, as you'll see, is we'll spray it on, cover the whole of the panel, and then we're going to wipe most of it off again. And the idea is that it's just where the rain has sort of washed away lots of the grime and just left it in the lines of the panels and the joins. So as you see, we'll just take it back with the cloth, just really quite roughly, and you can see it leaves a few streaks, but most importantly, it leaves a bit in the along those panel lines, along those sort of spar, sort of reinforced bars or whatever they are. Anyway, that's parts of the hopper, and then down the bottom. Now you can repeat this as many times as you need. Try to use different colours, maybe different shades, a little bit darker towards the top, maybe a little lighter towards the bottom, as if the grime has dried out more. And we're going to do the same inside. This one's not going to get a load fitted, but I think just weathering it inside will cover those marks where someone has fitted a load to it before. Again, we're just doing the inside with the same colours as we've done the outside, that mix of black and dark earth, I think it is, which is from Model Air. So these are Vallejo Model Air colours, so we just mix them straight into the airbrush, and we can use them straight away. So you can see we just wiped it back and we just left a little bit in the corners. So I'm going to give the second pass with just black in the brush, and then we'll do the same again, and we'll just wipe it back, and it gives us then a second colour, another layer, a bit more depth to the effect that we're after. Second one is never going to be as obvious as the first coat, obviously, but it's quite subtle, but it does add to it. So next we're adding our grime to the to around the chassis and the axles, and we're also going to do the wheels as well. I'm going to do them in stitch today rather than taking them off, so they're not going to be weathered too heavily, so I don't need to take them out of their axles this time. So this again is dark earth, so this is the original colour we've used for the top, but we got the black mixed into it. I'm going to do all the four sides. I won't show you all those four, it gets a bit samey after a while, obviously. And something I forget half the time to do is to paint the couplings, so just make sure I coloured those in. And then I'm adding a little bit more black to the top and to the axle boxes there, just to give the effect of brake dust and grease building up around those boxes. And then just the neat black again around the top, just to add a darker sort of shade around the top, as if the coal dust has obviously taking its toll on this one. So next we're adding our powders. So there is the Humbrol Dark Earth, so we didn't get that in shot there. I'll put the link down in the description below, and we're also using a couple of colours from the MIG Track Rust kit. So that's medium rust, and then we're going to use the Track Rust as well, which is the dark shade. And I like to mix them in the well, as you've seen before, so then you can see the sort of discrete colours there. So we've got 3 or 4 different shades in there, plus we're going to have in our Humbrol Dark Earth, which is the final colour that I tend to use over the top, just kind of pulls it all together. But if I want a mid shade of the rust, I can use a bit of the dark and a bit of the light, and it gives me a different tone. So we're going to add the the medium rust just to the axle boxes there, and wherever you think that the rust may be. There's no definitive way of doing this, because every wagon you look at is going to be different, which is half the fun, and it's all a bit of a get out of jail card really. So there's no right or wrong way, which is a good thing. But you want to try it if you're doing a rake of these. Make them all slightly different. Some will be more rusty, more dirty than others. Now don't forget, these colours will mute down quite a bit once we put our varnish on at the end. So it looks a bit bright for now, but just bear in mind that it will be darker at the end, so not to get too concerned with that. And we're going to weather inside as well, use some rust pigments inside as well. So a nice alternative inside, if you're going to leave your wagon open, is maybe to dry brush on like a steel colour, so it looks like the paint has completely worn away and you're just down to the bare metal. So we'll probably do that in another video. It's actually quite a nice effect once it's done, so we'll do that another time. So inside is going to be quite rusty because it's going to pick up some damage where all the coal's dropped in and then it slides out around the bottom. So there's a lot going on inside, so it's going to get a bit of abuse in there. So some rust powders on the end. So this is again the medium rust around the buffers, just on the top there, like top surface, and then we tied it in with our Humbrol weathering dark earth. So polyurethane varnish from Vallejo. So this is quite a tough varnish. I tend to only use it at the end. It's my final paint layer. It just gives a nice sort of matte, even coat. It's dry in a couple of minutes. If you want to, you can spray a second coat on. They recommend about 4 hours, but I just normally tend to use just one single layer. So we mix it 50-50 in the airbrush, thinners first, and then the varnish in second. And then we're just going to give it a nice even coat. A lot of people ask the pressure of this, so the pressure is set to about 15 psi to start with. I try to give it a light sort of dust coat first, and that just wets the powders and just bonds them into place. Otherwise you can go too heavy and just wash a lot of it away, which is not what we're after. So our final part is now our grease, and we're just going to use a little bit of this, and the grease will dry in a kind of wet look, so it looks like wet grease and oils. And there's different there are different colours, but I tend to use this one. Seems to work quite well. And just dab it on where you want, and science will take over, and it will just sort of blend in, it'll move around, capillary action will move it around, and you'll end up with just a greasy splodge, which is kind of what we're after. Again, no right or wrong way, all wagons are going to be slightly different, so sometimes you may want to put the axle boxes, sometimes they may be completely dry and just covered in mud. So that's it. Hope you've enjoyed this one, something a little bit different again, and enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we shall see you very soon back at Bunters Yard.